as I get my children, I'm going to give a quick recap of everything I saw today during the second day of the Diddy trial with Cassie on the stand. I did leave a little bit early, again, kids, but when I was leaving, I'll kind of go backwards. So when I was leaving, Cassie was going through photos of 6 escorts that she and Diddy used for their freak-offs, and I finally heard something pertaining to 2 of the charges, or the 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, because Cassie was discussing about how they would have these escorts come meet them in different cities, and sometimes she or Diddy would arrange the travel. For one escort named Dave, they actually used a travel agent for that, and said that Dave was an employee of Diddy's, so she wouldn't ask questions. And oh yeah, one of the escorts they used was called the Punisher. I thought that was a little scary, but I was like, okay, I guess we're hearing about some of this federal stuff now, because I felt like a lot of Cassie on the stand, it was really uncomfortable. I mean, Emily Johnson was, God, at one point, we're talking about the freak-offs. Sorry, there's like a kid on the street. I don't want to say this. We're talking about the freak-offs, and Cassie goes into the urine thing. And she describes to us that she choked on an escort's urine. He peed in her mouth at Diddy's directive. And then Diddy also peed on her at the same time. And the prosecutor's like, how did that make you feel? And Cassie's like, humiliated, this, that. And then the prosecutor said, well, why didn't you stop? Why didn't you say no? Why didn't you stop them? And Cassie was like, well, I was on the floor, under the influence of a lot of drugs, and there's 2 men hovering over me urinating. So sorry, I didn't do that. And I'm sitting here like, all right, let's get to it. Cassie also described that Diddy would make her engage in these freak-offs on her period. So the rooms would be a total mess. The linens would be covered in blood from her period, and urine as well. Sorry, there's kids on the street. I need to stop. That was awful. Oh, and then she said that Diddy liked to use Glade candles. So the rooms would smell like Glade. I mean, it was just like a lot of weird testimony. A lot of it, I'm just kind of like, this is awful. And what Cassie went through is terrible, but I'm like, all right, let's get to it. And really, Cassie testified that she was very young and inexperienced sexually. She didn't do any drugs except for, weed really, and drank wine. And then she met Diddy, and he introduced her to a lot of this stuff. And she testified that basically that she would engage in these FOs because she loved him, and she didn't want to, but she loved him and she wanted time with him because he had so many other girlfriends, and that she didn't really get time with him. And they at one point showed us an email exchange between Diddy and Cassie where she said she wanted to talk to him about the freak-offs, and she was going to say, she didn't want to do them anymore. And Diddy responded something like, oh, you're so predictable. I know you don't want to do them. And then she kind of backpedaled. So she was like, oh, no. Like, she felt bad. She felt like she was going to lose him. I'm scared. I feel like the defense is going to have a field day with this. The whole, jealousy thing. She would do anything to make him happy, so it was consensual. And I said this on an earlier video. There was essentially a sidebar about baby oil because it was out of control. The Astroglide, the baby oil talk, nobody knew where it was going. I mean, sure, there's rumors that he put GHB in it, maybe, but I feel like that would have come out at this point. I was thinking that maybe the baby oil talk is to corroborate the next witness who will say this is what happened during the freak-offs. But yeah, what else? Oh, she discussed an incident where one of the bodyguards came in, D-Rock, and told Diddy that Suge Knight was at Mel's Diner. They were in LA, and that Diddy and D-Rock dressed in all black and grabbed the guns out of the safe. And Cassie started crying, and she got really scared, and she just said, don't do anything stupid. And then they took off in their SUVs and they were back 40 minutes later. Let's see what else. I feel like he exercised control over every aspect of her life. She said her physical appearance. If she didn't smile at him the way he wanted, he would say, fix your face, watch your mouth, or say she had a slick mouth. And I think I said this in another video, but yeah, she would essentially spend days recovering from freak-offs. They would last between 1 and 4 days. And if she wasn't making music, she had to just rehydrate and, get herself back together. I did miss the end of the day, but it was getting super repetitive. It was getting like, all right, how many drugs did you take? Were you always, and she said she was always under the influence of drugs during freak-offs. She could not do the freak-offs without drugs. Don't blame her. And then, yeah, we saw, she sent Diddy an email, saying she wanted to F him. And she said, yeah, I really want to F right now. And he said, should we find you someone? And she's like, what? No, are you crazy? Really kind of showing us that he wanted the FOs and she didn't. Again, I know the feds have to be getting somewhere or leading up to something, but I think a lot of us in the courtroom are like, all right, what's going on? This is painful for Cassie. She cried multiple times. I mean, she's so pregnant. I just cannot imagine having to do this at like 8 months pregnant. It's awful. It's terrible. So I'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully they finish up direct and they'll start the cross-examination. I hope they go easy on her, but yeah. And if I miss anything else, like I said, I'll add it tomorrow. I'll tweet it at Conlin_Lauren. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Oh, and I also forgot to add something. I just looked at my notebook. Something really weird. Cassie told us that they had nicknames for each other. Her nickname was, it was BG for baby girl and CC for Cassie Combs. Some people went, aw, in the overflow room for the court that we were in. And then Diddy's nickname appeared to be Pop Pop. And they asked why it was Pop Pop. And she said that she wanted to give him a name that no one else gave him. And then he asked her, well, what do you call your grandfather? And she said Pop Pop, and everybody was like, ugh. And then Cassie said on the stand, yeah, looking back, that was, I don't remember the exact word she used. I'll have to look it up. But something along, she said, looking back, it was pretty twisted type of thing. Okay, now I'm done.